Hey everyone, we're going to be talking about UFC Fight Night, Belal Muhammad versus Gabriel Bonfim. We're going to be breaking down every card of the night, starting with the first fight of the night, going all the way to the main event. Starting with Caitlin Sousa versus Arderine Carnelesi. I think Arderine Carnelesi has had a rough start to her UFC career, and she's just not great. You know, she might look like a man, but she's not going to win. She's not going to beat Caitlin Sousa. Caitlin Sousa is a veteran. She's done enough. Her grappling's good. So I think Caitlin Sousa is going to win by decision, even though, you do the typical rule. It's not going to apply. I think Caitlin Sousa is going to win by decision for this one. Moving on to the next one. Julissa Chavez versus Yannissi Dubin. I think Jessica Chavez is going to win by KO. I think she's going to have some ground and pound going into the third round. She has a couple KOs throughout her career. Billion-dollar company, by the way. Can't add her actual record. I think it's something like 8-0. And I think she's going to come in and knock out Yannissi Dubin, maybe in the third round by a TKO with ground and pound. Pretty simple. On to the next one. Jordan Leavitt versus Anderson Brito. I think that Anderson Brito, oh my God, being a favorite is kind of crazy. Anderson Brito is an explosive guy with knockouts and stuff like that. He's a really good, well-rounded fighter. But Jordan Leavitt is a lot better than people give him credit for. He had that Paddy Pimblett loss, and that's basically what he's known for. But he is just a lay-and-pray grappler, which sucks. It's boring, and I hate it, and I hate him. But he's good. He just had a really impressive win, and he's going to go into this next fight against Joe Anderson Brito. And Joe Anderson Brito's had some trouble with grapplers, like Pat Sabatini he lost to, and he's been subbed before. He's lost to decisions to grapplers. Even though he's this big knockout guy, he's big, he's athletic, he's powerful. I just don't think he's going to have enough for Jordan Leavitt in the grappling, and I think Jordan Leavitt's going to submit him, maybe in the third round, possibly a really boring decision. This fight might suck. Moving on to the next one. Priscilla Cachoeira versus Chelsea Chandler. I think Chelsea Chandler is going to win this one. She lost to Jocelyn Edwards, but that's not a bad loss in hindsight. Jocelyn Edwards is really good, and Priscilla Cachoeira has a lot of losses, and she's just okay. She's one of those girls in the UFC, just win one, lose one, win one, lose one. So Chelsea Chandler also sucks. A 6-4 record should not be in the UFC, in my opinion. I think that is not a good record, and that is not UFC worthy. But I think she's going to pick up a win here by, again, another boring decision with this one. Maybe in grappling or just point fighting. Very boring. But I think Chelsea Chandler is going to beat Priscilla Cachoeira. Moving on to the next one. Bruno Silva versus Edgar Chairez. Edgar Chairez is pretty good, but Bruno Silva has proven himself a little bit with that Charles Johnson fight. Charles Johnson ain't no slouch. And people were arguing, billion-dollar company, by the way, website is fucked, and billion-dollar company. Bruno Silva is really good. He loses a lot, but his point fighting is pretty good. He did really well against Charles Johnson. He didn't do too bad against Manel Kape. And Edgar Chairez, I just don't think he's going to show up the same way that Bruno Silva is. Bruno Silva is good, and now he's motivated. He's losing, and he thought he won his last one. So I do think Bruno Silva is going to come in there, not knock him out, but again, win a decision, but a pretty convincing one. 30-27, a lot of powerful strikes from Bruno Silva, pushing, keeping the pressure. I think Edgar Chairez is going to be on the back foot most of the fight and just take it from Bruno Silva. And I think that's how that's going to end up going. They're both just okay flyweights on that borderline 15, but will never be great. But I think Bruno Silva is going to take the win on this one. Marcus McGee versus John Yanis. I think Marcus McGee is great at fighting. And again with this one, I think he's going to get a KO. He's old, and we know that he's old. He's never going to be champion because by the time that he would get a title shot, if he gets a win streak, he's going to be 40. He's an unk. He's out of his prime, but he's still really good, and he's a skater. But I think he's just going to win this fight. John Yanis is just mediocre. He's not got any great wins that I know of, but Marcus McGee did well against high-level opponents, and that's something that we have to take account for. He took on a high-level opponent and lost, but it's still really impressive. John Yanis has not done that, and he's ready to lose and probably get KO'd by Marcus McGee, and Marcus McGee will get a ranked shot after that. I'm fairly sure of it. Moving on to the next one. Matt Schnell versus Alessandro Costa. Two flyweight fights, guys fighting. Matt Schnell, he's just all right, win-loss fighter. I'm pretty sure on short notice as well, this Alessandro Costa is a negative 800 favorite. Matt Schnell could crafty himself to a win, but it's probably going to be up Alessandro Costa knocking him out. That's just not all right. It's a catch weight. I think Matt Schnell is on that short notice and has not had time to get the cardio to pull off a grappling against an explosive guy like this. So I do think Matt Schnell is going to end up getting knocked out within the second round. On to the main card of the night. Now, this might be one of the best main cards within UFC Apex history. If you have Belal Muhammad as still champion, this would have been like a last year UFC pay-per-view, which isn't good at all because last year UFC wasn't great. But this would be a UFC pay-per-view if Belal Muhammad was still champion. They would give him that, which I think is insane. So it is an amazing UFC Apex card, starting with Iwo Baranuski versus Junior Tafa. You might know Iwo Baranuski for giving the best first round of MMA history against Ibo Aslan, and it was an absolute firefight. Iwo Baranuski has never been out of the first round before in his 8-0 career. He's an explosive fighter, and he's great. He's from Poland. Love watching him. And Junior Tafa is another guy who absolutely is shit at fighting, but he is super explosive, and his main issue is in the grappling. If he can get off the striking, he can actually do pretty good and win fights. But the issue is that he sucks at grappling. And Iwo Baranuski can grapple, but his striking is so on point as well. I think this fight will not go out of the first round, and I think Junior Tafa is going to get flatline KO'd by Iwo Baranuski. And I think they're each going to get knocked down. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if Iwo got knocked down and then coming back up, flatline Junior Tafa, an absolute amazing fight. This will win the fight of the night. I'm guaranteeing of it. It'll be another fire first round because these guys are two heavy hitters that do not like to grapple. So I think Iwo Baranuski by first line KO. On to the next one. The fight of the night. Bryce Mitchell versus Santiago Luma on short notice. Bryce Mitchell versus a guy nicknamed Border Boy. This could be on the White House, but it's not. But it really makes sense. This is the American fight. Bryce Mitchell versus Border Boy. And I think Bryce Mitchell is going to win. And he's going to win not impressively. He's going to out-grapple for 3 rounds like he does. And hopefully he can win so he can get his contract re-signed. Because this is Bryce Mitchell's last fight on his contract. And if you guys know, he's had a real controversial past with this stuff about the Big H and how they like to go fishing with him. So I think Bryce Mitchell is fighting for his contract here against a guy on short notice. And Santiago Luna is good. He's ready to fight. He's ready to be explosive. But Bryce Mitchell is actually an elite fighter, and he only loses to elite fighter. People forget that he actually outstruck Topuria and Gene Silva in the first round. He has good striking, and he has good grappling. And I think he's going to just beat Santiago wherever the fight goes. Maybe not in power. Bryce Mitchell could get dropped throughout the 3 rounds. But Thug Nasty, my bad, messed up, is really going to have a great fight here. And I think he has to fight for his contract. He has to have an impressive finish. And I think that's what's going to happen. And he's going to keep his contract, hopefully. And he's going to fight a ranked opponent next. Santiago Luna also looks great. Or Bryce Mitchell gets flatlined and gets all the karma he deserves. So that also could happen as well. On to the next one. Freziem versus Tom Nolan. I've been riding Freziem for a while, and I think he's going to win impressively again. I thought his win over Mike Davis was absolutely incredible. I think he deserves a ranked opponent. I don't know why he's been given Tom Nolan, but he's been given Tom Nolan, and I think Freziem is going to beat him wherever he goes. I know that I'm saying that a lot, but I think Freziem is just absolutely incredible at fighting. I think he is a top 8 fighter, and I'm ready for him to get down in there and fight Tom Nolan, and he's going to beat him where it goes. The grappling, the striking. Tom Nolan's good. Australian guy, explosive. We like him, but Freziem is great, and I think that's where the difference is. Tom Nolan is good, but Freziem is great, and I think after this, he's going to win probably by, I would say, up the middle. Like he's going to clinch the knee, hit Tom Nolan with that, KO him. That's my prediction. And I think after this, Freziem should get Benoit Saint Denis after he loses to Pimblett. in like a France Fight Night main event. I think that would be awesome. But I think Freziem is going to win this one pretty impressively. On to the next fight. Brendan Allen versus Edmund Shabazian. Maybe the worst matchmaking we've seen all year. Brendan Allen coming off a win over Rainier de Ritter, and Edmund Shabazian coming over a win over, I don't even know. He has no impressive wins right now, Edmund Shabazian, but they're trying to push him a little bit, and Brendan Allen needed a fight. And also, why is Brendan Allen repping Canada? Holy crap. Born in Louisiana, by the way, and the only connection he has to Canada is his grandma's Canadian. Just going to put that out there. Edmund Shabazian's going to lose. Edmund Shabazian's got good grappling. Brendan Allen is mentally deficient, and he is, like, missing a chromosome, I think. And his fight IQ is really bad, so he could mess something up and just lose, and I would not be shocked. Like, he'd get on the back, and he would just fall off, and then ground and pound TKO. I really would not be shocked. But Brendan Allen's skill for skill is better than Edmund Shabazian. I believe that, and I think Brendan Allen, if he's not an idiot, he's going to probably TKO Edmund Shabazian within, like, the second round. But as I said before, Brendan Allen is missing chromosomes. He might have huge issues for whatever reason. But I think Brendan Allen's going to win. I don't like him, and I hope he loses, but I think he's going to win. On to the main event of the evening, Belal Muhammad versus Gabriel Bonfim. I think that Belal Muhammad is going to win this fight impressively by decision. Gabriel Bonfim lost to Wonderboy. And I just want to make that clear. Lost to Wonderboy. And Wonderboy is a washed unk. Belal Muhammad won a round off of Ian Gary in a pretty competitive fight. Pretty competitive fight with JDM too. But I think Belal Muhammad has to get his takedowns. And, Canelo hands here. He thinks his striking is all that. But he shoots his takedowns so lazy. Like, after the first couple in the JDM fight, he's so lazy with his takedowns. Especially against Ian Gary too. You're not all that, Belal. I know we met in person, and, I feel like I could take you, but still, you're not all that. And I think Gabriel Bonfim is not all that either. So, you're going to have to take him down and submit him. I know you're not good at that, but come on. And that's what he's going to do, I think. He's going to get a win. Belal Muhammad is elite, whether we like it or not. Whether he's in the Epstein files or not, he is elite. And I think he's going to win by decision, as he does, 3-2 rounds. And Gabriel Bonfim's good. He's got good striking. But Belal Muhammad is all tucked up. He's a short, and he's a compact guy. And he's ready just to take those strikes. He wears the damage pretty good. He had some earlier knockouts in his career of him, getting knocked out. But he doesn't do that anymore. I don't think that would ever happen to him again. Unless Gabriel Bonfim throws an impressive strike. But you knock out Chinny Randy Brown, and you lose against Wonderboy, you're not going to beat Belal Muhammad. And I think Belal Muhammad is going to win impressively. And you know what? He might have to fight me next. But Belal Muhammad, I want him to get back in the win column. He's an American champion. He was. So I hope well for him. But that's it. That's my predictions for UFC Fight Night. Belal Muhammad versus Gabriel Bonfim. Have a wonderful night.